I know you're nervous for the Rams, but you got to be a little enthusiastic after being there.
Bro, that game atmosphere was ridiculous. The energy, the electricity. That place was rocking. Anyone was there, and a lot of the Super Bucs fans were there too. The
Tampa Tones. We are joined by Lead Goon tonight, host of the Pat and Aaron Show of WDAE, Pat Donovan. And it sounds like Stunna is bumbling a little bit. Going to put him on mute for a second until that gets a little cleared. But we're joined by Pat
It looks like
Donovan.
Stunna's hanging out with Cheech and Chong in a car with the windows up or something over there.
It does look like we got a little...
No, my camera's broke.
Howdy ho, howdy hey, how the hell is everybody? Welcome back to the Buccaneers. Excited to be back here on our Saturday Showdown weekend to football kickoff show. I'm your host, Tampa Tones, going to be joined, of course, by the great J-Lo and Joey Nips coming. Katz is going to try to join as well as he's at his patented Bob Evans Saturday Stomping Grounds. Always sounds like a great place to be. Sorry for being a little late, a little under the weather over here in Chicago as it's very cold out and it's that time of year, sixth season. But we got a lot of good stuff to talk about today. Army, Navy, bowl games. Bucs are pretty much in a playoff game. Colts are pretty much in a playoff game. Lucky Lucy in the house saying, ho, 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 Santa coming to town, naughty or nice. We'll let J-Lo handle this one. J-Lo, you been naughty or nice, brother? Is Santa going to make a stop at your house? And hell of a weekend last weekend, my man. It was some good times in the Bay.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I had to say naughty last weekend, but I've been nice this week, so I guess we'll have to go 50-50 on that, brother. But sorry you're not feeling well, brother, but it was fun hanging out with you and the fam last weekend. It was a fun game, and now we're off to a whole new weekend.
Whole new weekend and whole new breadwinners, by the way. We're down to 34-27, still plus 86 on the year. We went 2-2 last week, but dropped $20 as our 2 wins did not scrap enough change off the ground to make up for our 2 losses. But speaking of change on the ground, the Bucs have not been playing like change on the ground of late, of recent, winning 3 in a row. The defense playing very good. I know the opponents haven't been the scariest of teams in the world, but J-Lo, this is a Bucs team who the past month or so, coming out of their bye week, has been playing some really good football.
Oh, yeah. I mean, they're definitely coming together, even bearing on injuries, unfortunately. We've been having bad luck all year with that, but for the most part, we took care of business. We won the games we should win, and, we just got to keep it up, man. Got a fun one tomorrow.
Got a fun one tomorrow in LA, East Coast, West Coast. You always hear about the nightmare travel. J-Lo, do you think that's more of a myth, or do you buy into the East Coast, West Coast travel of, hey, this might be a taller task for this Bucs team because they do have to head across the country all that way?
These players get paid a lot of money to play football. I don't think traveling's the issue. I think more of a mental state when they get into the stadium, into a different environment, kind of changes things. But for the most part, I think these players are ready to play. Baker's a dog, he'll get this team going, and go out there and, kick some ass and win some football games.
I think so, and the Bucs are determined. And J-Lo, no offense, I know this Chargers team is a good record. I know they're vying for the playoffs, but when we watched them last Sunday night, I know they played Kansas City. Their defense, very impressive, but J-Lo, their offense, to me, the Bucs match up very well against the Chargers type of offense. I'm not really afraid of anyone on their offense besides Justin Herbert, to be quite honest.
And on the plus side, Herbert's injured. He's not 100%, so it's going to be interesting to see how he performs as well. Receiving targets, not so much. I think Lamar McConkey is his best receiver, and he may not even play tomorrow, so that's going to be really interesting. To me, they're a run-first football team, I believe. That's what Harbaugh's offense is run by. So if they can shut down the run and not get run over, we should be able to get some pressure on Herbert and maybe cause a turnover or 2.
Yeah, and we saw that a little bit last week, right? At first, no matter who the QB was, at first it was, Aiden O'Connell. Then it turned into Desmond Ridder. But, J-Lo, I thought the Bucs did a pretty dang good job of keeping the pressure up on the quarterback. We more so let up some ground game, which is a little concerning. Thoughts on that? Sincere McCormick kind of, poking his hole in this Bucs defense here and there.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, the run defense didn't look at its best. I mean, they were lacking in the second, third quarter, I would say. Then finally, they started coming on the fourth quarter, playing better defense. Maybe it's just a mentality thing. Maybe, mentally they just weren't really there all the way. Those 2 quarters we watched. But I feel like, someone flipped the switch on the sideline, which I think was Mr. Mike Evans, hyping that defense up and telling them to play better. And that's all it
How
takes.
pissed did he look when me and you saw him after, we were struggling a little bit and they zoomed in on him for a career achievement? He was not too happy, it seemed.
No, he looked very frustrated, and from what I'm hearing is that he was more frustrated with the defense, how they were letting up, and I think once he started kind of barking at them a little bit, it kind of had them play better. Sometimes you need that leader on the sideline. I think we're seeing a different side of Mike to where he's taking on more leadership to push his football team to win football games.
Yeah, the final injury report did come out for this team yesterday, J-Lo, for each team, I should say. The Buccaneers have ruled the following players out. Linebacker KJ Britt is out with an ankle injury. Mike Edwards is out with the hamstring. Cam Johnson is out with an ankle, although he was just designated to return from IR. Marquise Watts is out yet again with a knee. Antoine Winfield remains out with the knee as well. Then you got Josh Hayes with the hamstring, questionable. Bucky Irving with the back and hip injury, questionable. Christian Izzian, questionable with the groin. J.J. Russell with the hammy is questionable. Sterling Shepard with the foot is questionable. And Joe Tryon Showenko with an ankle is questionable. Kind of a heavy laundry list of injuries there. What say you on the injury front for the Bucs?
Yeah, unfortunately, it's a long list of injuries. The one that really questions me the most is Bucky Irving, because obviously, if he does play, I think he'll be very limited on carries, and they'll give Rashad White most of the carries. But
as weird as it sounds, I'm okay if Bucky, takes a week off, since we do have Rashad and Sean Tucker still back there.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's just unfortunate, because he was coming on really strong. But Sean Tucker, I think, can handle the carries. Just got to do better on the pass blocking. That's the only thing, on third down with Sean Tucker. Fortunate linebacking core is all beat up. I mean, we're probably going to see Ryan Neal elevated to where he can play some linebacker on some dime packages. So I know Bowles is working on a strong game plan to get this team ready. And plus, they'll probably elevate Deion Jones as well, so that'll be kind of helpful to get a veteran in there to kind of help out the two youngsters that played last week.
Now, J-Lo, although we are obviously here talking Bucs ball, we have a big day of college football. Bowl season begins today, a couple of bowl games, Army, Navy, but I do want to share some news that I can confirm. Former Buccaneers defensive back Anthony Gator is returning to FIU to help lead their defense. They were a top pass defense in the country last year, ranking in the top 20 in the entire country of college football for pass defense, and they helped lead their conference in top 3 categories for interceptions, turnovers, pass deflections. Quickly, thoughts, J-Lo, on our guy, Anthony Gator, making himself home with new head coach at FIU, Willie Simmons. That's not easy when a new coach comes to town. A lot of the time, turnover occurs. Here, they bring back Anthony Gator. I think that speaks volumes. And speaking of volumes, we got our guy Richard speaking volumes, saying, "Good morning, my brothers. Good morning to you, Richard. Hope you got your coffee going and you're joining us." But quick thoughts, J-Lo, on Anthony Gator returning to FIU before we get back to the Bucs.
No, I'm really happy for him. That goes to show how well respected he is over there in FIU. All the hard work he put in, getting those boys ready to play every Saturday when it's their time to play. So, congrats to him. Glad he wanted to go look for another job. He stays in his old stomping grounds and help the new coach, go out there and compete and win some football games.
And I'm not sure when, but he is going to join us in the coming future, J-Lo, to talk about his off season and what was going through his mind and him returning to FIU as well. So that'll be a lot of fun. We will have Coach Anthony Gator joining us here in the near future on the Buccaneers. But back to the injury report for the Chargers this time, J-Lo. Theirs is very short and thin. Will Disley is out with the shoulder, former Seattle tight end. Jalen Reagor, former Eagles wide receiver, is out with the finger. Then you got Ladd McConkey, who's questionable with the knee and shoulder, and Denzel Perryman, questionable with the groin. Kind of a lot shorter there, but Ladd McConkey, if he is out, J-Lo, that is a huge deal, as you alluded to earlier.
Yes, very huge deal. I feel like he's been the go-to guy for Justin Herbert on his route running. The kid's a stud. I liked him at Georgia, and him being out will be a plus. But you can't sleep on Palmer. He's another clutch player who can make plays at times. Johnson's been, to me, a first-round bust. Can't really get over the hump. I mean, he's made some plays, but right by now he should be more consistent being the go-to guy after Mike Williams got released and then Keenan Allen got traded. So for the most part, to me, I think Herbert, if you lose Ladd McConkey, I think they're going to try to run the ball more, which is where our front seven should get in there and shut down the run.
You guys may or may not be able to see it, but I do have my Buccaneers Christmas shirt on that we made last year, and today does start our 12 days of Bucsmas. We're going to run it a little different than last year. Instead of a giveaway every night throughout the 12 nights, you're going to have to pay attention to our Twitter or our X, whatever you call it, at Buccaneers. And we're going to be giving away some really good things 4 nights randomly throughout the Christmas, Hanukkah season. So you're going to have a chance 4 or 5 times. I won't limit it to 4, maybe 4 or 5, but we'll see. Rules will be simple. On one of the giveaways, you'll just have to follow the program and myself. Next time, J-Lo and the program, and so on and so forth. You guys pay attention to our Twitter and X for our 12 days of Bucsmas, starting possibly tonight at Buccaneers, Buccateers. Richard says this Bucs-Chargers game is 50-50. Chargers poor offense versus Bucs poor beat-up defense. Then Bucs high-octane offense. Exactly, Richard. But as I told J-Lo earlier, Richard, I do like that the Bucs defensive strengths, not that they've provided many this year, but they kind of do line up nicely with the Chargers, who are more of a run-stuff team. Obviously, Sincere McCormick had a decent game last week, but I'm still confident. They only have Gus Edwards and the rookie back there. J.K. Dobbins is out a while, so I think Bucs could hopefully handle their own on that front. J-Lo, we're going to get into the toughest task remaining now, which is the Chargers, and a player to look out for on their team. Do you believe that this game is the toughest task remaining on the Bucs schedule? They still have at Dallas and then a couple of rivalry games with the Saints and the hot Panthers. And not only do you think this is the toughest game left, if you do or not, but who's your Chargers player to watch out for? It could be offense, defense, special teams, or anything.
I mean, to me at this point, I feel the Chargers are probably the second toughest team. I feel the Panthers are the team I'm really looking out for. That's been up and coming, that we've been talking about for weeks. From the last time we played them, I just feel that the Panthers are the team I'd be more afraid of, just because Bryce Young's coming on.
And the Canales factor, right? He's wanting revenge.
Agreed. But I'm not going to sleep on the Chargers, one game at a time. But back to the Chargers, I feel, I say 2 men. That's Joey Bosa and Khalil Mack. I think they're going to be the X factors on the pass rush to get after Baker. Because as you watch Baker last week, you can tell that Crosby got in his head. You can tell. He held the ball way too long, trying to be conservative, and you can't do that. You need to get back to Baker mode, get rid of the ball quickly, get the ball to your playmakers, which I think he did toward the end, getting the ball to McMillan. When you get, those plays going, you move the ball quickly, then you got a good shot. And we got 2 really good tackles that can hold their own. Khalil Mack is still a beast, man. The guy's still getting after the quarterback. Bosa is injury prone, but sometimes when he's hot, he's hot. So those are the 2 X factors I would look out for. The Chargers is their defense, because their defense is very tough. I think their defense is top 5 or even number 1, if I'm not mistaken. So
they're number 1 in points let up on the season. I believe it's sitting at a minimal 15 point something points per game, right around the 15.4 to 15.9 points per game mark, which is in the NFL is very minimal. So those are both good ones. So you're going with Khalil Mack, it sounds like, then overall.
Yeah, Khalil Mack definitely. Last time he went up against Tristan got the best of him. But the first game, Tristan's rookie year, he pretty much flipped him over in 2020. So, but Khalil Mack's still that dude. I mean, he had 17 stats last year, and he's still playing at a high level for his age. So I'd say Khalil Mack and Boza. I'd say the pass rush. There we go. Chargers pass rush. I would look out for. That's probably a better term.
I'm going to go with an interesting one only because Bucs fans polarized his name. Derwin James, I'm going to be looking out for. Bucs fans are crying when we didn't get Derwin James, but guess what? We got Vita Vea, so I think we won that. But you know these Florida State Bucs fans, J-Lo, will be looking out to see if Derwin James does anything. I hope we shut him up, and I hope that he doesn't have a big game because you know guys like Bucko, our co-host, to be like, hey, look at Derwin out there, and I really don't have to deal with that in the near future. Speaking of future, the great Godfather, James Rubright's in the house in the present here on Facebook Live. Thanks for joining us. Richard says it's knowing Bucs offense and short yardage, dink and ducks and screens. Chargers defense is going to force Baker to... Yeah, it is going to be a very frustrating game. Not like in 2020. Remember when the Bucs and Chargers had that shootout? Bucs were down pretty big, ended up coming back, winning 38-31. That's what happens when you have a guy like Tom Brady on your squad. He wins you some game by throwing some throws on the money. Speaking of money, we're going to take you into the world of Bucs Bets now, where J-Lo and I take you around the Bucs offense, the Bucs defense, the Bucs special teams, and we try and win you guys some money through Bucs Bets. Remember, Joey Nips joining us momentarily after our Bucs Bets segment here as well. Mr. J-Lo, this game is at 4:25 Eastern tomorrow. Loaded 4 o'clock slate. We'll get into that more on Red Eyes Pick'em as well. But J-Lo, Bucs Chargers, Bucs Bets time. Here we go. If you were to bet $10 on the Bucs money line, you could win $12.80 if the Bucs win. Are you putting your $10 on the Bucs money line?
Absolutely, I would. I think it's a very winnable game for the Bucs to win and pull out an upset.
And then the Bucs are getting 3 in this game. Give me the 3 point. I mean, I'm going to bet their money line too, but 3 points to me is too much in a game like this. So give me Bucs money line and also Bucs getting the 3. J-Lo, over under collectively between the Chargers and Bucs is set for 45.5. Do you see these two teams get into the 46-point mark, or do you think the under hits?
I say under. I think they'll be under for sure, just because of the Chargers defense. I feel like we're not going to put that many points up. But then again, the Chargers can't really score a lot of points either. So give me under on that one.
Total points by the Bucs alone, 21.5. Do you think the Bucs get to 22?
Yes.
I think so as well, especially if they want to win the football game. I'll take the quote-unquote big wig touchdown scores. Rashad White is plus 125, so 10 would win 1250. Mike Evans is plus 133. 10 would win 1330. Bucky Irving is times 140. 10 would win 14. Out of that group, give me Mike Evans. I think he's going to continue to score touchdowns now that he's back in the fold. I think the Bucs are going to keep feeding this man. Obviously didn't get into the end zone last week, but came up with some big catches, and I expect to find himself back into the end zone here in the near future. J-Lo, out of the quote-unquote medium guys, which of these bets would you take to score a touchdown? Would you put $10 on Sean Tucker to win you $23.50? Would you put $10 on Jalen McMillan to win you $23? Would you put 10 on Kate Otten to win you $26, or 10 on Sterling Shepard to win $31?
I say give me Kate Otten. I think, he came on really strong last week. Give me Kate Otten. I'll put that bet on him.
He had a couple of nice catches last week, especially late in that game. Baker Mayfield's kind of standalone at his odds, 10 to win 55 if he was to scramble one in or recover a fumble or something. So I'll just point that out. Long shot guys now. Trey Palmer, $10 would win you 120. Keith, $10 would win you 120. Payne Durham, 10 would win you 140. Rakim Jarrett, 10 to win 170. Ryan Miller, 10 to win 170. I'm going to go ahead and go with Keith. I know he hasn't really came close yet this year, but he's in on some goal line packages as the fullback and whatnot. And he has a touchdown in each of his first couple of seasons. So maybe he gets back into the end zone this week to keep his 3-season touchdown streak alive. J-Lo passer time, Baker Mayfield over under 237.5 passing yards.
I say over. I think he'll hit the over for sure.
Baker Mayfield over under 1.5 passing touchdowns, $10 would win you $12.50. I'm going to go with over. I'm going to assume Bucky's out and the Bucs have to score a couple through the air to win this game. Mr. J-Lo, total interceptions by the player. Justin Herbert over under half. So if you think he throws one, you'll bet the over. 10 would win you 10.
I say over. I think he'll make a mistake and throw one pick.
Receiving time, Mr. J-Lo. Mike Evans over under 5.5 receiving yards.
I say over because I know Mike was wanting the ball, and I think they'll get him the ball more. So I say over. He'll hit over for sure.
Kate Ottens 40.5. Give me the over there. I think he's coming on very strong. Mr. J-Lo Sterling Shepard sits at 33.5.
I say over. I think he can get a couple clutch catches. All it takes is one big catch, and he'll hit it.
And he's been on a tear lately in terms of receptions, right? He catches a lot of balls. Maybe not for the longest of yards, but I like what Sterling Shepard's acquisition has brought to this Bucs team. Rushing yards by the player, Baker Mayfield over under 12.5. Give me the over. I think against a game like this, he's going to have to find a way to scramble at least for one first down and see what happens. J-Lo field goal unit time before we end with the defense. Chase McLaughlin over under 6.5 points coming off the leg of the sniper, as Tristan Wirfs calls him, Chase McLaughlin.
Give me over. I can see him nailing a couple field goals.
Yeah, I think he's going to get over 1.5 field goals as well. I'll take over 1.5 Bucs made field goals, which leads to Bucs and Chargers longest field goal over under combined 48.5 yards. J-Lo, do you think Cameron Dicker and Chase McLaughlin hit one over or under 48.5 total yards?
Definitely. I think one of them will definitely hit over it. I'll put over on that one.
Then we're going to end it out with some defensive interception odds. J-Lo Zion McCollum, $10. If he gets an interception, would win you $62.50. Jamel Dean, if he gets one, 10 would win you 73. Christian Izzian, 10 would win you 73. So out of McCollum, Dean, and Izzian, who are you putting your $10 on to get an interception?
I say Zion McCollum. He got robbed last week on a pick. I think he's going to definitely get one tomorrow.
I'm going to go with Zion McCollum as well, and that is our Bucs bets. As now we're going to predict Bucs scores, player of the games, and whatnot. As we'll bring Joey Nips in here too. I think he's socking around right now. Joey, how the hell you doing?
Not too bad, gentlemen. Good morning on this Army-Navy day where we're going to have a lot of great things. I'm looking forward to it all, so let's get it cracking.
Yeah, it's going to be it's a good Saturday slate in a weird way in the world of sports and entertainment. We'll get into that more here in a bit. Nothing, Army-Navy, obviously a mainstay. Then you got some real nice appetizers and big boy events around that. We'll talk about all the good stuff here as we do always on the Buccaneers. And now we're joined by Joey, so we're going to make our Bucs game picks. It's time to make our Bucs game picks in terms of score predictions and our Bucs players to look out for, MVPs of the game. And we're going to start with you, Mr. J-Lo. What's your final score for the Bucs, and who is your Buccaneers MVP for what the hell week is this, 14 already?
Yeah, somewhere there,
15.
Week 15, but I will say give me the Bucs.
I'm sorry, game 14, week 15.
Game 14, week 15. But give me Bucs 24, Chargers 21. I think it'll be an uphill battle for sure. I know Herbert's going to have a couple deep bombs on us because, our DBs have been not playing as well. But at the end of the day, I think Baker goes into dog mode and ends up getting a game-winning touchdown. And give me Baker as MVP of the game. I think he's going to recover from last week on those interceptions and play turnover-free ball.
Yeah, and it's funny you mentioned Baker. The Godfather says, "Good morning, men," sending us a Christmas tree. I got a gingerbread behind me with the Baker hat on, so she's baking. I got a Stitch Christmas back there. I got to do a better job of displaying it. At least you can see the lights and the gingerbread a little bit. But it is Christmas time. If you guys didn't miss it, 12 days of Bucs Miss starts tonight, potentially, as I said, 4 to 5 nights throughout the next 12 nights. We're going to be randomly giving away stuff on our Twitter. One of the times you'll have to follow me in the Buccaneers, one of them J-Lo in the Buccaneers, one of them Joey in the Buccaneers, one of them Cats in the Buccaneers. Well, actually, Cats is off Twitter. But you guys get the idea, Gene and so forth, and all that good stuff. Joey, J-Lo had 24-21 Bucs with Baker as his player of the game. Where's your mind heading? The Bucs could help the Colts a little bit out here in this one as well.
Yeah, they exactly could, and I do disagree with J-Lo on the hardest game left. The Chargers are just coming off a very tough loss against Kansas City. They're going back to their home field.
The doink.
Where Bucs have to go opposite coast against Harbaugh, who always has tough defenses ready to go. So I think this is by far their toughest test left, and I do think they're going to pull it out just slightly, and the reason will be why is because Baker Mayfield limits his turnovers. That part I do agree with J-Lo on, but this is, to me, it's not even close. It's the biggest test left that, they're going to become ready to play. They need a win. If they lose this game, they could be in an interesting situation themselves in a couple of weeks when they play Denver. So I'm going to go Bucs. Similar to J-Lo, I'm going to go Bucs 23, Chargers 21, and what would be a barn burner and come down to a Chase McLaughlin game-winning kick. Give me Chase McLaughlin player of the game.
Big money, Chase. Yeah, sadly, the Broncos ran rampant over the Bucs division. They swept the Bucs division in entirety. We're hoping that the Chargers don't do the same, as the Chargers have beaten the Panthers, the Chargers have beaten the Saints, the Chargers have beaten the Falcons. It's up to this Bucs team to put the end to really their division has had their way with us all season, but I think that does change. I think the Bucs are able to escape with the close, hard-fought victory here. Give me Bucs 26, Chargers 20, and my player of the game, and I think he's played real well so far this year, but he's going to have to continue to step up with some guys down in the secondary. But I think when he's been in this year and playing, he's done a nice job. Give me Tavier Thomas, number 37, as a Bucs player to look out for. Todd Bowles is speaking on his special teams ability, on his depth ability. So I think that Tavier Thomas, number 37, the man with the plan, has a very, very big and successful game. Richard says Bucs 26, Chargers 24, even though Bowles is terrible versus AFC teams, and that's very true. This year we lost, I think, all of our, we lost Chiefs. We did beat the Raiders, obviously, but that's you're hoping you do something like that. We lost to every AFC team outside of the Raiders, so we'll see if our luck could change. One of our favorite Canadians is in the room, Mike D from Canada. How the hell are you, Mike D? Thank you for joining us on this beautiful Saturday morning and our Saturday Showdown Weekend of Football Kickoff show, Army-Navy time. Richard says if Chargers make a crazy special team play like block punt, then Chargers probably win. And yeah, that's where Harbaugh specializes, right? Is the special teams. That's a really good unit they got there. They got a really good kicker and Dicker the kicker, and they got some real other good. The Chiefs almost missed that 30-yarder to win the game. Mike D says 21-10 Bucs. I love it. I love it. And I love it. So we all are on the Bucs. I don't know if that's good or bad, but before we get to the Colts game, actually, let's do the Colts game, and then we'll do Army-Navy as we get into college. My apologies. But let's get into the Colts game. Stick with the NFL here a little bit as the Colts go to battle at the same time as the Buccaneers do, 4:25 Eastern. And as I alluded to earlier, just 4 o'clock slate is absolutely loaded here this week. Some weeks it's not as loaded. Some weeks it's really loaded. And the 4 o'clock slate goes as followed. 4:25. You got Bills, Lions, you got Bucs, Chargers, you got Steelers, Eagles, you got Colts, Broncos, and you got Patriots, Cardinals. So you got a ton of action at 4:25 and a ton of good games. Joey, thoughts as the Colts try and save their season tomorrow, keep it alive a little bit as they head to a very tough place to play in Denver?
Absolutely, this is a must-win. You can't look at it any other way. If we win this game, we got about a 70% chance to make the playoffs. If we lose, it rests at about 10%. So big swing there with an easier schedule coming up at the end. I look for this Colts team to be ready coming off their bye week. Anthony Richardson has led 2 game-winning drives on the road out of his last 3 games, and it's been really nice to watch after the 2-game benching. So Denver's been hot, but to me, they need to fumble a game at some point. They have not beaten any team over 500 really to this point yet, and I think this might be the time they screw up. I look for the Colts to take advantage of a couple of Bo Nix turnovers, and this will be a muck-it-up game. So for me, we got to limit the turnovers and get Taylor going, and for them, obviously, we got to get them to turn it over. I think I'm going to go Colts. It's going to be a battle. Colts 24, Broncos 17 will be my score prediction of the game.
And who you got as your player of the game?
Jonathan Taylor, he needs to come up with a big week here. He's been really close lately to getting that 50-plus yard run, just, one block there, one shake of a tackle there. So I'm going to go with Jonathan Taylor as my player of the game as he gets a 50-plus yard touchdown run in this one.
We are joined on Facebook by Tampa's own realtor, David Ferrara, the great David F. And we do have some great comments we're going to get here to shortly after Colts talk. J-Lo, thoughts on the Colts score prediction and your player of the game?
No, I mean, Joey pretty much put in perspective, limit the turnovers, get the run game going for the Colts. They're going to a tough environment because they're going to Denver, right? It's in Denver.
Yep.
Tough environment. Denver's got a very underrated defense, but I think it'll be a close battle. I say Colts 23, Denver 20. I think Colts will get a game-winning field goal with Richardson leading, lowering the time down, keeping Bo Nix off the field, and Colts get a really, really huge win and try to make a playoff run.
Yeah, I think that they pulled this one out 27-26 by the hair on their chin, but I do think it results in a win. Speaking of win, the great El Monito joining us on Facebook Live as well. Always great to see El Monito in the house as well. When I look at this Colts team and my player of the game for tomorrow, obviously Richardson has a very big role in the game, but I'm going to look at guys like Quentin Nelson, Dalton Tucker, and the rest of this offensive line to really see how they do against the Broncos front seven that could get after the quarterback. And I think that's going to be my player to watch is the Colts offensive line because you got Zach Allen, DJ Jones, John Franklin Myers over on the other side. Oh, and by the way, you got some really good linebackers like Cody Barton and Nick Bonito to join in the mix as well. The Colts O-line and how they handle a very tough Broncos front seven is, to me, going to be the key in this Colts team winning. And that's why I think Colts have a successful game offensive line-wise, and they end up winning 27-26. The Colts will take a W. Richard says Baker. Wait, someone going to say something?
Well, I was just going to say, Denver, you might look at their roster and say, where's the success coming from? But Tones, watching some of their games, they just got really good, even talent across the board. They're not really weak at many areas, and that's why I think they've been successful this season.
And that's why, exactly. And if you watch that Bucs game, I know all these Bucs fans did, sadly, but the Broncos front seven, yeah, again, maybe not the most notable names in the world, but they're very vicious. They get after it. They could stop the run. They could get after the quarterback. And really, it's going to be one of those matchups that the Colts have to win in the trenches. It's always a trench battle in these types of games. And that's why I think the, guys like Quentin Nelson and them rise up to the occasion here tomorrow, and they help the Colts remain in the playoff picture and hopefully elevate the Colts to the playoffs after a huge win tomorrow backed by this big offensive line. Richard says Baker and Cohen back in LA can be pretty motivating. That's a good point, although obviously and don't get me started on LA getting 2 football teams out of thin air. That's pretty damn stupid, especially since the NFL moved out of LA before because they couldn't handle one team. Now you sprinkle 2 teams into the mix, and the fan bases are all whacking out of it. But yeah, Baker and Cohen do return to LA, different team, same city, can be motivational. Pops text in Bucs 20-17. and Colts 27-24. So thanks for texting in, Pops. We appreciate it as always on the Buccaneers. You guys can tweet us, text me, do whatever you got to do. We'll get your score predictions heard. Mike D says, can the Bucs afford to lose one game? Joey, 10 seconds or less. If the Bucs drop one of the next four, do they still make the playoffs?
I think so, because Atlanta is just a dumpster fire. I'm not really focused on wild card as much, but I can honestly see Falcons going on the road to Las Vegas and even losing that one. So to me, as long as they go 3-1, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers will be a playoff team.
I agree with you there, and I'll leave it at that. J-Lo, take us home on this convo of topic. Can the Bucs afford to lose one game in the four remaining?
Realistically, yes. Like Joey said, Atlanta is going to land their way out of the playoffs, and the Saints are just too beat up. I just don't see them getting back up there with us in the standings. So, Bucs can afford to lose one. Absolutely.
And we are here on the Buccaneers Live. We've still got some real fun segments left. The college football spread 'em, Army-Navy discussion, Red Eyes pick 'em. The great Red Eyes, the great Kenneth Rubright. That's why we call our NFL pick 'em Red Eyes pick 'em. He was in the Navy long time ago, so that holds home. We're going to be polling for the Navy, I believe, Joey and I, and we'll talk about that more here shortly. We got bowl games starting today, fantasy football playoffs. That's why we started a little later, though. College slate, obviously, only 3 games at hand, but we're all going to pick the bowl games in Army-Navy because it's that fun time of year where it is bowl season. It is fantasy football playoffs, so still got some fun times left here on the show. We're going to do our NCAA football spread 'em, but before we get to spread 'em time, we're going to just briefly talk about Army-Navy history. As I alluded to, our uncle, Joey and I, was in the Navy, and it's the great Red Eyes. And that's why he was a big fan of the shows. We honor him by having the Red Eyes Pick'em segment and whatnot. But just a little background on Army-Navy. They've played since the late 19th century, providing countless notable moments in their series, with some standing out among the greatest games in college football history. The midshipmen lead the all-time series 62, 54, and 7, and they prepare for battle to end the regular college football season on CBS today at 2 o'clock. That is thanks to CBS Sports. Love the Air Force too, but Army-Navy just hits different than when the Air Force plays these games. Jayla, we're going to start with you here. Thoughts on Army-Navy and how meaningful of a game it is to you?
Definitely. I mean, I'm glad that it's one of the last games of the year to kind of keep the college football excitement, and shout out to the people serving and protecting our country and all that for one thing. But it should be a fun game to watch, entertaining before the fun bowl games begin next week.
Joey, we have a little bit of a memorial today, going to the Legion Hall to spend it with all the veterans. And, you could be in Space Force, Air Force, Coast Guard, Army, Navy, Marines. The Legion Hall is going to be very excited today. Going to be a very, very bittersweet day for us, as our uncle ain't here to watch, but we'll be rooting on the Navy. Joey, thoughts on the magnitude of this game or our plans for game day?
Yeah, it's going to be a good day. The best we can make it, that's for sure. And we're going to commemorate one of the most honorable games that, a lot of presidents / former presidents will be there. They really honor this one, and shout out to Uncle K for this one. So we'll be going with the Navy all day. I really do like them with the points, but we'll leave that to the side for now. It's just one of those honors where you soak everything in from the beginning to the end. Is it always the most entertaining game in the world? Maybe not necessarily, but it's about the ambiance and everything that surrounds it. This is the one time you can commemorate and really get together and respect all the people who deserve even just 1 second or one wish on this day. So we will be living it up at one of his favorite places, and we will be going in to the hall strong as Navy as one today.
And I just want people to remember today, think about all the people overseas in different countries who can't even watch this game. They're in battle, they're in combat, they're fighting for us. This game, very meaningful to me, gets me a little emotional. I love our troops. It's a shame they can't watch this game. I hope they could overseas, and I just love the men and women who serve our country, and very, very important game to me. And President-elect Trump will be there, Vice President-elect J.D. Vance will be there, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis will be there, Tulsi Gabbard will be a lot of political bigwigs just speaking on the volume. But when you're looking around today, you see college football on TV, or you see Christmas trees up. Just remember, Army, Navy, we have men and women overseas who this game means the world to them. This is one of the few games that they could listen to on the radio. And, our late great uncle, Red Eyes Kenny Rubright, was in the Navy as well. So go Navy. We'll get into that here shortly, but this game's very meaningful. Don't take it for granted. I know I used to, not in terms of, what it meant to the country, but, you kind of thought, oh, Army, Navy, 13-10. But who cares? It's a beautiful game for a beautiful occasion. Just enjoy it. Sadly, not everybody could. Including the troops overseas. Speaking of overseas, it's time to see if we can make our peeps overseas some money. If they listen to us for our college football spread 'em segment, we do have 3 games today. And by the way, we'll be back Tuesday in our normal time slot. So we're not going to do any other bowl games besides today. But we're all going to take turns for the bowl games and the regular games today for our college football spread 'em. As Mr. Magic is in the house saying, yo, what up, Mr. Magic? But spread 'em college style. We start today in 12 minutes, guys, noon Eastern. It's a new tradition. Jackson State, South Carolina Celebration Bowl. It's been a bowl game to start the bowl season for the past 7 or 8 years or so. That's on ABC, noon Eastern. You see former primetime-led team Jackson State against South Carolina State in the Cricket Celebration Bowl. Jackson State is +3 in this game. Joey, where you heading? Former Deion's team, Jackson State, or South Carolina State to kick off bowl season?
Yeah, I'm glad they call it the Cricket Bowl because that's about what it is. Give me Jackson State and the points.
J-Lo, thoughts on that? Jackson State +3 in the Cricket Celebration Bowl.
I'm with Joey on this one. Give me Jackson State on the points.
All righty, I go Jackson State and the points as well. So we're all in on Jackson State for better or for worse, which leads us to the great Army-Navy game, the battle of the men and women in tough times. Navy is getting 6.5 points here, 3 o'clock Eastern. Once again, this game is in New Jersey, neutral site location. WDAE, Tampa Sports Radio, always does a great job of covering it. Pat and Aaron are both on the ground there. 3 o'clock Eastern. CBS, Joey, we'll start with you. Navy +6.5 against Army.
Yeah, it looks like it'll be about 40 degrees and sunny today, so not too bad over there. Listen, I'm going with Navy, obviously, for Uncle Kenny, but I like a little more passing, and that's what they do. Their quarterback seems to get the ball out there a little bit more. He has more total touchdowns on the season. So I'm going to take all the points in the Navy midshipmen to upset, not only cover, but upset and beat the Army Black Knights.
J-Lo, Navy getting 6.5 against the Army. Whose side are you on in this epic battle of brothers?
I'm going to go with Navy, even on the points. That's my pick on that one.
Yeah, I'm taking Navy in the points as well. 6.5 points in a game like this from 2 schools that proved to be tough tasks for the best of them this year. This is going to be a fun game, one of the more fun Navy-Army games we've seen in quite some time, in my opinion. Both of these teams were hovering around the playoffs at one point. Notre Dame kind of put an end to that for both of these squads, but in reality, both had very good seasons for themselves. But give me Navy getting the 6.5 points. I think that's just a little too rich for my blood personally if I am the Army. Then, fellas, we end in a fun night game tonight, 9 o'clock Eastern on ESPN in the IS4S Salute to Veterans Bowl. South Alabama 6-6 on the year takes on Western Michigan 6-6 on the season. 9 o'clock Eastern to second bowl game of the year. And this one, let's see if I could find where this one is at. It's at Crampton Bowl. So We'll see where that is. I'll find out shortly where the Crampton Bowl is. But it's in Montgomery, Alabama. So kind of a home game for USA. Yeah. So maybe that's why they are -7.5, as the game is in Alabama. Joey, are you going with South Alabama -7.5 against Western Michigan in the IS4S Salute to Veterans Bowl, 9:00 Eastern tonight on ESPN?
Give me the Western Michigan Broncos and the points. I believe Alabama will probably win, but a touchdown and a little more. I like it. Give me the points.
J-Lo, thoughts? South Alabama -7.5 in the IS4S Salute to Veterans Bowl against Western Michigan.
I say with the home field advantage, give me South Alabama on the points.
I would take Western Michigan and the points in the action, but you never know. That should be a fun game regardless. But that does it for our small spread 'em if you got them. College football pick 'em. 3 games today. Guys, I am glad at least there are 3 games today. Nothing against Army Navy, but I'm glad they put a bowl game on before it, bowl game on after it. You truly get a whole day of college football still on this Saturday. Real quick, Mr. Magic says, yo, you think Evans is going to keep his streak? I do also need to pop him in the playoffs. I don't think he gets 2,000 yards this year personally. J-Lo, yes or no on 1,000 yards?
Unfortunately, with that damn hamstring, that's what really hurt him this season. I think he'll come close, but no, he won't hit it.
Fantasy playoff match report time after Joey. Joey, he needs pretty much 110 yards a game for the rest of the games to get there. Do you think Mike Evans gets there?
How many yards?
He needs around 110 on average for every game here on out. And he's got the Chargers, the Cowboys, the Panthers, and the Saints.
Yeah, without Godwin, I mean, I do like the young guys who step up, but Evans is all reliable. I say he just barely gets it.
I agree with that. Fantasy match report time, as it is fantasy football playoffs, and Mr. Magic has been talking a little fantasy as well. Going to go around and ask everybody a question and see where they lead here. J-Lo, we're going to start with you. Tight end room, full point PPR. Travis Kelce at the Browns or Cade Otton at the Chargers?
I say Travis Kelce against the Browns.
Joey, pick 3 of these running backs, full point PPR. Derrick Henry at the Giants, Jonathan Taylor at the Broncos, Gus Edwards against the Bucs, Sincere McCormick against the Falcons.
Throw out Sincere McCormick.
I would agree with that. And then I'll take us home here in the wide receivers. Full point PPR, Courtland Sutton against the Colts, Adam Thielen against the Cowboys, Khalil Shakir at the Lions, Keenan Allen at the Vikings. I could only pick 3. I'm going to go with Sutton, although he's against the Colts. I think Sutton's had a really good year. He's ranked the 12th fantasy wide receiver overall. Kind of a quiet good year. Give me Adam Thielen as well. He's coming on strong with Bryce Young of late, ever since he's gotten back from the IR. And between Shakir and Allen, give me Shakir at the Lions. I think that's going to be a throw-a-lot game, and Khalil Shakir has been a possessions guy. I just don't trust the Bears' offense right at this time. We will have our breadwinners coming up as well in a future Buccaneers schedule. We will be back Tuesday around 6 o'clock Eastern time. So be on the lookout for that. And our 12 Days of Bucksmith starts tonight. Again, going to be random this year. Not guaranteed the course of the 12 days. Going to be 4 or 5 random nights along the next 12 nights leading up to Christmas and Hanukkah. Because kind of cool, Hanukkah starts on Christmas this year. Mr. Magic has a question. Falcons D versus Giants, Colts D versus Titans, or Chargers D versus Broncos. So he's looking at next week already, I believe. I'm going to go with the Colts D versus the Titans. Joey, what say you?
Yeah, hopefully if we're still abiding for playoff chances, I would definitely take that.
J-Lo?
I have to agree. Colts D versus Titans. Titans are a dumpster fire.
And now we're going to get into our Red Eyes Pick'em time before we get to our breadwinners and final words as Red Eyes Pick'em is in honor of the Navy's late great Ken Rubright, one of the great listeners of the program here, of the Buccaneers here. And that's why we call it Red Eyes Pick'em. Once again, spreads are thrown out here. College football, we do spread them with the spreads. NFL, it's a little bit more of a coin flip, so we take the spreads out of the equation. Joey's going to start this equation with the very, very good 1 o'clock Eastern kickoff game. The Miami Dolphins are taking the road and hitting Houston. Joey, Dolphins, Texans, who you got 1 o'clock Eastern?
Yeah, I mean, Miami's hot right now, and I think they're going to win this one in a close game. Their offense has really become alive with Tua Tagovailoa. CJ Stroud got a little ahead of himself, you know, as a second-year guy, wishing all these rookies, you know what, stay in your lane, CJ. You're going to lose this one, Miami, by 3.
Yeah, you know, they were acting like the guy was Tom Brady or Patrick Mahomes coming into the season. No, my Lord. I mean, good little quarterback, right? But pump the brakes quick, Junior. I mean, by the way, I got Big Dog texting me on the side how Daniel Jones' career reminds him of Peyton Manning's right now, but we'll save that for a rainy day, whatever the hell that's supposed to mean. J-Lo, Jets at Jaguars, 1 o'clock Eastern kickoff in the Battle of the Shit Bowl over there in Jacksonville.
I say Jets. Jaguars, you know, could surprise them, but I say Jets.
Chiefs at Browns, 1 o'clock Eastern. I think the Chiefs win a close one. I do think Jameis and company actually keep it close, but I think the Chiefs pull that one out. Joey, Bengals at Titans, 1 o'clock Eastern.
Bengals, their offense looks to really be coming alive.
J-Lo, the Commandos, the football team, the Redskins, whatever the hell you want to call them, take the road to travel to New Orleans. This is a big game for Bucs fans because if New Orleans beats the Commanders, it opens up another playoff door opportunity in the wild card realm for the Bucs. J-Lo, Commanders, Saints, 1 o'clock Eastern. Jake Hayner starting at QB for the Saints with Derek Carr injured.
To me, this is a kind of a big test for the Commanders. They can go into a hostile environment in New Orleans because we all know New Orleans is a hostile environment. But I think Commanders will take care of business and they'll knock the Saints off and pretty much knock them back out of the playoffs.
Cowboys, Panthers, 1 o'clock Eastern. Guys, this is the first game. The Panthers have been favored in 34 games. That's like really hard to believe. I couldn't believe it myself, but that's just wild. Give me the Panthers at home against Cooper Rush and the Cowboys, 1 o'clock Eastern there. Joey, this is the biggest spread of the day tomorrow, but we don't do spreads. But Ravens at Giants, 1 o'clock Eastern.
Ravens in a landslide.
Giants are plus 16 at home. That is insane. Really, really wild. We're going to get into the 4 o'clock slate here. J-Lo, Patriots at Cardinals, 4:25 Eastern. Mac Jones, Kyler Murray, or not Mac Jones, I'm sorry. Drake May, Kyler Murray battle.
That's going to be kind of an intriguing one to me, but I say the Cardinals handle their business and beat a team that should beat.
Bills, Lions in Detroit, 4:25 Eastern. I think the Bills win a close one. I think it's a lower scoring game than people think, but give me the Bills. Lions are due to lose, in my opinion. I know they're both very good football teams, but I got the Bills barely edging them out. Joey, Steelers, Eagles, 4:25 Eastern tomorrow.
Eagles, too much complaining. Give me Pittsburgh.
Eagles are just a weird muster right now. I don't know what the hell is really, really going on over there. J-Lo, tomorrow night, a very fun one for Sunday Night Football where Green Bay travels to Seattle in a battle of two NFC playoff hopefuls.
Tough one. But you know what? I'm gonna go with Seattle at home. I know I've been down the Packers a lot, but I think this is one game I feel the Seahawks are gonna want it more, and they take it at home.
And then we got our last Monday Night Football doubleheader of the year this week. Monday, 8 o'clock Eastern, Bears at Vikings. Give me the Vikings there. I think Vikings are just on another level right now. Bears, I thought, would have looked a lot better last week against a struggling Niners team. That didn't happen. So in game one of the Monday night doubleheader, 8 o'clock Eastern, give me the Vikings over the Bears. Joey, take us home, 8:30 Eastern. This will be another big one for Bucs fans as Atlanta travels to Oakland. Well, to Vegas, I'm sorry. But Desmond Ridder might be starting. Could be a revenge game for him.
I'm going with Vegas. Atlanta is trash.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
I love it.
Speaking of trash, Emad's brain's trash. I think he's just, not really aware of
Him and Big Dog, it's like one total human.
Yeah, I literally, when Big Dog said Peyton Manning and Daniel Jones' careers are like on the same trajectory today, that made no sense to me and made me not want to text him back. But speaking of, it's breadwinners time on Army Navy Day, and the Buccaneers breadwinners, we are 34-27 on the season, plus $86. Although we went 2-2 last week, Cats had the Eagles money line. I had Bucs Eagles money line parlay. We did drop $20, but we're still plus 86 on the season, plus 7 games overall in the win column. If you've listened to us, $86 around the holidays can make or break a big deal. J-Lo, we're going to go to you first here for not only breadwinners, but your final word for the program as well. And breadwinners could be in any sport now through Monday night.
I'm gonna go with the Lightning. I say Lightning on money line. I think they.
Is that tonight's game?
Yeah, 10 o'clock p.m. tonight. They're up in Seattle playing the Kraken. They were on fire the other night, so give me the Lightning as my breadwinner. And final thoughts, good to hear from y'all too. Had a great weekend last week with y'all and the family. It was a big win. Hello. But anyway, tomorrow's game will be fun. I'm pretty sure we'll be keeping in touch with each other. Hopefully, another celebration video with a lot of swearing profanity.
Yeah, and if the Lightning win, J-Lo's breadwinner 20 would pay 15. So I like where your head's at there, J-Lo. But yeah, awesome time last week, brother. We saw Bucs win. We're now 2-0 together at Bucs games. So maybe we'll have to do it more often, We're undefeated over there. So
come on down.
Come on down. Price is Right. Joey, speaking of Price is Right, your final word for the program before we're back on Tuesday and your breadwinner for the weekend.
My breadwinner is going to be Bengals over Titans. Spread -5, I believe.
I like that. Yep, -5 it is.
And tonight,
you're -4.5 actually.
And tonight, for the first time in a long time on NBC, it's Saturday night's main event.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. I wanted to go into the detail a little bit on that for our wrestling fans listening. I know we do have a couple, so brief thoughts on that.
Yeah, so listen, this started in the 80s, went through about the 90s, early 2000s, where they would have Saturday night main events on NBC. And yes, you do not need Peacock tonight. You can go to NBC, watch it, and there will be a lot of old rituals. You'll see the Dusty Rhodes Wing T belt. You'll see Jesse Ventura. You'll see many Hall of Famers like Jerry the King Lawler and so much more. There's going to be a lot of good people. Damn! Will be there. A lot JBL, a lot of good old legends, even older than that, Hulk Hogan, and so much more. So 8 Eastern, 7 Central. It's Saturday night's main event on NBC.
And Richard said it's on YouTube as well. So we'll see. But that'll be cool if it's on YouTube too. I will say this. I'm very much looking forward to Saturday night main event. But this is why I love 2 wrestling companies, right? Because it's a little Saturday night competition now. You got main event, you got AEW doing Saturday night, so this really brings out the best in wrestling. If AEW doesn't do a Saturday show, who knows if this returns. Now, this is going to be better than AEW Saturdays, I will say that, but to me, kudos to both of these companies for providing the content they do. I think competition makes wrestling better, and I love Legends, so I'm very much looking forward to him and the rest of the guys being in the house for
wild prediction. Tiffany Stratton cashes in and takes the strap off Liv Morgan. That's my prediction, Joey.
I love it.
Wild prediction. J-Lo interferes in a match and gets socked by Liv Morgan.
Why not? That'd be lovely.
Depends what kind of socks. But my final word is this: go Colts, go Bucks, go Navy, go Western Michigan. Going to be a tough battle of a weekend. And my breadwinner, as I'm looking around here during these games, I'm sorry, I'm taking Jets money line. I know the Jags, I know the Jets haven't been shit, but Aaron Rodgers on the road in Jacksonville, I find it hard to believe $20 would win you $13 Give me the Jets money line as my breadwinner. I don't know if you guys agree. I just can't see Aaron Rodgers fall into Mac Jones. If he does that, probably time to retire. But nothing surprised me with the Jets anymore. But you fellas have a great Saturday. Army-Navy Day bowl game starting. The first bowl game just started right now. Saturday night main event, fellas. Touchdown Colts, touchdown Bucs, touchdown Navy. Saturday night main event. Let's go, fellas. Let's fucking go. Thank you, Richard and Co. for joining. J-Lo, Joey, I'll see you guys on the flip. Until next time, Buccaneers out of the building. Stay blessed, everybody. As let's see, one last comment. The Godfather with the thumbs up. Let's go.
Game on Sunday, man. I know you're nervous for the Rams, but you got to be a little enthusiastic after being there.
Bro, that game atmosphere was ridiculous. The energy, the electricity. That place was rocking. Anyone was there, and a lot of the Super Bucs fans were there too. These Bucs.
Tampa Tones. We are joined by lead goon tonight, host of the Pat and Aaron Show of WDAE, Pat Donovan. And it sounds like Stunna is bumbling a little bit. Going to put him on mute for a second until that gets a little clear. But we're joined by Pat
It looks like
Donovan.
Stunna's hanging out with Cheech and Chong in a car with the windows up or something over there.
It does look like we got a little.
No, my camera's broke.